What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we have the final update from Bungie in the form of This Week at Bungie before the launch of the Shadowkeep DLC next week. And there are quite a few things to talk about in this one. Earlier on though, I did post some new Shadowkeep gameplay that I managed to capture at Bungie, and so if you didn't catch any of that, it will be linked down below. Today though, Bungie talk about combat changes, the tuning of PvE difficulty, a bunch of changes to power progression and economy, as well as updates to vendors like Xur, and then they give us an additional patch note preview for next week's update, as well as revealing changes to some weapon perks, and revealing ritual weapons, which are going to be the new versions of Pinnacle weapons that we're getting in Season 8. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, but now let's jump straight into it. They say today you'll find us ticking all the boxes on the pre-flight checklist. Here are some of the final items we wanted to cover before you set out to investigate the mysteries of the moon. And initially they talk about the difficulty tuning of enemies. The goal is to widen the sweet spot where fighting higher level combatants provides a fun, challenging and rewarding combat experience for a more enjoyable power climb. So combatants that are 10 to 40 levels higher take less time to kill and deal less damage. Higher level combatants will continue to increase in difficulty up to 100 power levels above the player, and when enemies are 100 power levels or higher above the player, they are immune to damage. Nameplate icons on higher level enemy combatants have been updated to reflect these changes, and these changes affect only higher level combatants, so the at level or over level experience remains unchanged. So that's a bit of an idea of how they're adjusting some of the enemies in the game, but then they talk about rewards, power, and progression. So after the update, all non-powerful rewards now drop 3 to 0 points below your highest equipable power level, up from 15 to 20 below. Year 2 powerful reward sources have changed to legendary rewards, and these sources no longer have a chance to drop a random exotic instead of the legendary gear, and then bonus exotics that drop from the Nightfall, the Ordeal, will drop at the character's highest equipable power level. So the kind of term powerful gear is actually going away, and under and over-leveling activities no longer adjusts how much power is received from the rewards. Then on top of this, experience no longer fuels a player's character level, which has been changed to be level 50 for all characters. And of course experience will now progress the Season Pass and the Seasonal Artifact mod, as well as power progressions that you get from that. The power granted from the Seasonal Artifact is additive with the power of the player's equipable gear, but does not increase the power of gear drops. All existing gear has had its power increased to a minimum of 750, new characters will begin Destiny 2 at 750 as well. And then the power bands for Season 8 are as follows, so the floor is 750, the soft cap is 900, and all drops up to this point will be upgrades to the most powerful item in your inventory or vault. Then beyond this point, only powerful and pinnacle rewards will increase a player's power. The powerful cap is 950, and then all non-powerful or pinnacle rewards are capped at 950. Pinnacle rewards will be the only way to raise power above this point, and powerful rewards are the equivalent to a character's highest equipable power beyond this point. Then of course the pinnacle cap is 960, and this is the highest power at which any gear will drop in the game, but then you can use the artifact to get beyond that level. Prime engrams are being changed, and they now gain charges more quickly, drop more frequently, and have a higher maximum charge cap. So that's 9 charges, up from 6 during Year 2. The power gains have been rebalanced for the increased frequency, providing +3 power, down from a range of +4 to +7, and players who have completed the Prime Example quests prior to Shadowkeep's release will earn charges, but those charges won't drop until the character has reached 900 power. This will help players avoid spending charges early for gains that are most beneficial during the soft cap to powerful cap range. So lots of technical stuff about kind of earning powerful gear and things in the game. Let us know what you think about it, and obviously we'll get a feel for it in-game as of next week, but then Bungie talk about Bright Dust, and this is now earned by completing Crucible, Gambit, and Vanguard weekly and repeatable bounties. They say they wanted to grant Bright Dust from ritual bounties rather than spreading it out across the weekly and daily bounties, so players could more easily earn Bright Dust without having to make sure they complete every single day. Players will be able to do repeatable bounties as many times as they like, and any Crucible, Gambit, or Vanguard completed bounties need to be turned in before maintenance begins on the 30th of September, as these changes will reset them. So bear that in mind, Crucible, Gambit, and Vanguard bounties actually won't be able to be saved over into Shadowkeep's launch, but other bounties like Gunsmith, Clan, and Eververse can still be claimed after October 1st. Definitely bear that in mind. Eververse items will no longer break down for Bright Dust, and interestingly, new Eververse items for Season of Undying will become available for Bright Dust 2 weeks into the season. So they're not going to be immediately available right there. We can also see that Fireteam medallions have been completely removed from the Eververse store and deprecated into fizzled Fireteam medallions that give you 50 Bright Dust when you dismantle them, so medallions are essentially gone now, but then the cost of the Gleaming Boon of the Vanguard has been lowered to 150 Bright Dust, while the Crucible Gleaming Boon has been lowered to 500. There are a few additional notes there for Eververse, including that the Season 7 Best of Year 1 engram has been retired, and that we now get the Season 8 Nostalgic engram. We've heard about that before, so if you want to check out any details on it, I'll link the twab down below. They also talk about the fact that we can now earn 250k Glimmer, but they have retuned Glimmer rewards for a bunch of sources in the game, and that includes open world sources like public events, lost sectors, and chests, and those have seen a significant increase, but passive Glimmer gain on kills has been reduced. And then combatants will now sometimes drop additional Glimmer in chunks on the ground. So bear that in mind, and they have retuned weekly bounties to award a large amount of Glimmer in addition to their other rewards, so hopefully it's going to work out fairly well. But there are changes to the Spider's inventory, so Glimmer Exchange now costs 10 legendary shards or 20 materials, and yields 10,000 Glimmer. Definitely a pretty big cost difference there. And the Tangled Shore daily bounties no longer award Glimmer, but instead provide etheric spirals. And then the weekly wanted bounties no longer award gear, but do provide between 3,000 and 15,000 Glimmer in addition to the enhancement course currently offered. So they're mixing that up quite a bit. Then finally for Xur, his inventory pool and Fated Engram now include world drop exotics from year 2. And presumably those are going to be 2.0 armor pieces that he sells. Hopefully that'll make him at least a little bit more interesting for a while. So let us know your thoughts about that very long list of changes right there. Quite a lot of stuff to take on board. Here though, they give us a bit more of a simplistic patch note preview, and that includes that they've added rally banners to Leviathan, Eater of Worlds, and Spire of Stars. So that's good. And on top of this, Shattered Throne is now available at all times instead of on a 3-week cycle. On top of this, it can be launched and reset from the Director. So that's pretty useful if you want to run that. Black Armory Forges are now accessible through a Director-launched playlist on EGZ, so you can get into any Black Armory Forge without actually loading into the planet. And then of course, weapon mods are now treated as reusable unlocks instead of consumables. Discarding an enhancement core will no longer delete the entire stack, and then for Borealis and Hardlight, they'll match their Prism modifier when changing elements on reload, rotating through Void, Arc, and Solar. They have fixed an issue where the Hunter's Tempest Strike melee ability couldn't be performed if the sprint or button key was set to hold. The Phoenix Protocol Hearth perk will no longer award bonus super energy on kills and assists to Warlocks inside of Well of Radiance if they do not also have Well of Radiance. So they need to have the Attunement of Grace subclass equipped, and otherwise they fixed a few issues with different subclass things. But also failing the first encounter for any Black Armory Forge will no longer award planetary destination materials. So that AFK farm for the forges essentially has gone away. Now finally, Bungie talk about ritual weapons and perk changes. Initially, in Season of Undying, Pinnacle weapons will become ritual weapons. They will no longer have special perks and will instead be curated roles. A previous article incorrectly showed 2 new Pinnacle weapons, but the good news is that you'll be getting 3 ritual weapons for each of the ritual activities, and that includes Crucible, Vanguard, and Gambit. They do add, however, that they've reduced the effectiveness of the following perks in PvE, so for Rampage, Kill Clip, Swashbuckler, Multi-Kill Clip, Desperado, Surrounded, Master of Arms, and Onslaught. In general, the perks use the same damage multipliers for PvE that they did in PvP. The change to Rampage does not affect the Huckleberry. Onslaught and Desperado now change bullet impact values while active in PvE, and Surrounded no longer multiplies precision damage on top of base damage. And so that's a loose idea of how they've adjusted those bonuses right there. And of course they are going to be potential bonuses to roll on some of these new kind of ritual weapons. So let us know your thoughts about all of that. They also say that the quests to acquire these new weapons will not be as in-depth as they have been in the past. But here the Vanguard is getting a new machine gun, so this is edgewise, and I'm guessing that we'll be able to farm these out for different curated roles. The Crucible will get Randy's throwing knife, a new scout rifle right there, and then for Gambit, we have Exit Strategy, a new submachine gun. So not entirely sure what to think just yet. We'll have to see how good those weapons end up being. And if there's a bit of variation with the curated roles, then that could be kind of interesting in itself, but definitely different from the Pinnacle weapon system that we've had over the past year, so let me know what you think down below. Here they once again update the roadmap for Season 8, so firstly, they say that there was a shot of Trials of the Nine armor at launch in the trailer by mistake, and that was the one I mentioned the other day, but they add they want to clear up any confusion and let players know that the Trials of the Nine set will not be obtainable in Season of Undying. So this was actually accidentally shown off in the trailer. They also say we had to revise our gameplay calendar for Season of Undying, and most things are the same, but they are adjusting the timing of some of the nightmare hunts. So you can see that updated roadmap right there. And also something you may want to check out in the TWAB, if you purchased the Pride pin from the Bungie store recently, they show off the emblem for that, which is pretty cool. They also show off the new raid jacket, so if you can get that raid done in the first day, then you'll be eligible to pick that up. But also, they're introducing a new t-shirt for anyone who completes the raid during the season of Undying. So that's something pretty cool to check out. And then they also reiterate that we will have an upcoming 24-hour maintenance period on September 30th. And for PC players on Steam, preloading of course has begun, but they say they'll keep console players posted at some point during the maintenance when the preload will become available for Xbox and PS4 as well. For today though guys, that's everything we've got to round up from this week at Bungie. Be sure to share your thoughts with me down below as always. If you've enjoyed the video though, a rating is very much appreciated, and if you're new to the channel, be sure to get subscribed to keep up to date with everything related to the game. Otherwise though, thank you for tuning in, and I will catch you guys very soon.